In the neon twilight of Nova Helix, a storm of sparks and shattered dreams collides with destiny. Captain Mara Rojas, eyes ablaze with the fury of lost kin, grips the helm as warship engines thunder like a dying star's heartbeat. The pulse of the futuristic megacity mingles with ancient whispers in the dust, a symphony of loss and unyielding resolve. Every breath echoes a promise to rewrite fate, even as myth and reality clash in the electric night. Nova Helix sprawled beneath an ever-changing sky, a labyrinth of glowing towers, holographic billboards, and rain-slicked streets that whispered the secrets of humanity's relentless ambition. In the year 2387, this frontier planet stood at the precipice of two worlds, the dazzling promise of technological marvels and the raw, uncharted wilds of a desert that had seen empires rise and fall. Amid the clash of advanced machinery and the timeless murmur of ancient ruins, the city pulsed with life, a melting pot of hope, fear, and a lingering sense of destiny. Captain Mara Rojas, at once both warrior and reluctant guardian, navigated the corridors of her flagship with determined grace. The scars of past battles were etched not only in the metal of her vessel, but deep within her heart, a constant reminder of losses that haunted her dreams. Every command she issued, every tactical maneuver executed, bore the weight of those memories. The echo of a fallen family, and the burning desire for redemption propelled her forward, even as the specter of looming conflict shadowed her every step. As Mara stood on the bridge, the hum of engines and the rhythmic beeping of navigation systems created a backdrop to her inner turmoil. Outside, Nova Helix shimmered with the promise of prosperity and danger alike. The air was heavy with the scent of ionized rain and scorched sand, a sensory tapestry that told tales of both decay and rebirth. Here, at the very edge of human expansion, every light and shadow played its part in the eternal struggle between myth and reality. The captain's gaze swept over the sprawling cityscape, where the gleam of futuristic technology danced with the mysteries of a forgotten past. It was a place where every neon flash could conceal a threat, and every whisper of the wind might carry a secret message from an alien lore. In this convergence of eras and ideologies, Mara Rojas felt the immense responsibility of not only defending her people, but also unraveling the tangled narratives that had long defined her world. The tension was palpable, each beat of her heart a testament to the precarious balance between hope and despair, and every moment a prelude to the imminent storm that would soon shatter the fragile calm of Nova Helix. A piercing klaxon shattered the fragile calm of the flagship's command center. The abrupt alarm reverberated through the steel corridors, as if heralding an imminent cataclysm. Captain Mara Rojas's heart pounded as she surveyed the flashing readouts. Multiple warships had inadvertently trespassed into the disputed zone near the Arcanus border. The digital display, awash in urgent red, illuminated a dark void streaked with eerie, iridescent light, an unspoken warning from a civilization that had long dismissed human legends as fanciful myths. Report. Mara's command sliced through the controlled chaos. Lieutenant Kwan's voice, tight with urgency, responded. Captain, our sensors confirm the breach. Several of our fleet's vessels have crossed into Arcanus territory. Incoming transmissions, diplomatic yet laced with tension, are flooding in. Outside, the vast expanse of space revealed a stark line where human ambition met an alien frontier, the boundary glowing like a spectral barrier. The sight was both breathtaking and foreboding. Amid the clamor of beeping consoles and rapid-fire communications, Mara's thoughts raced. Memories of past losses and the weight of duty converged into a single, unyielding resolve. She straightened, her eyes narrowing as she issued further orders. Stabilize formation. Open secure channels with Arcanus Command immediately. I want to know their terms, and I want answers. In the distance, the Arcanus envoy's message emerged in a measured, otherworldly cadence. Trespassers in sacred space shall be met with the consequences of ancient honor. The words, cryptic yet menacing, underscored the ideological chasm between the two cultures. As the message played, The hum of the engines and the rapid tap of keys formed a relentless backdrop, echoing the urgency of the moment. Mara's gaze swept across her crew, faces etched with equal parts determination and apprehension. The tension was palpable, every breath weighted with the imminent threat of conflict. In that charged instant, the war between myth and reality was no longer a distant tale, but an unfolding crisis that demanded immediate action. The ambient glow of Nova Helix's holographic displays dimmed as night deepened, and with it the past began to whisper. Captain Mara Rojas stood alone on the quiet observation deck of her flagship, eyes fixed on the star-speckled void beyond. The gentle hum of the vessel melded with distant echoes of memory, a tapestry woven from both human folklore and alien lore. In the silence, legends of gods and titanic heroes long faded into myth resurfaced, their presence as tangible as the metallic scent of recycled air. Mara's mind drifted back to a time when bedtime stories and ancient prophecies were all she knew. In her youth, elders spoke of a celestial guardian whose sacrifice shielded humanity from a wrath that no mortal could withstand. Those stories had ignited her spirit with both wonder and a fierce desire to protect her kin. But as the warships loomed ever closer to the Arcanis border, those cherished myths twisted into ominous portents. Here, the old narratives did not promise salvation. They warned of an inevitable reckoning between civilizations too proud to yield. A soft chime from her communicator drew Mara from her reverie. "Captain, incoming secure message from Ambassador Raylick," Lieutenant Mendez reported in a measured tone. The name stirred something in Mara, a reminder that while she was haunted by the past, the present was fraught with new legends being forged in the crucible of conflict. The hologram materialized, and before her appeared Ambassador Raylick, a diplomatic envoy whose soft, enigmatic gaze belied the steely resolve of his people. "Captain Rojas," he began, his voice resonating with a measured cadence, "our history tells us that legends are not mere stories, they are warnings. The Arcanis have long seen human myths as relics of a bygone era, but now, as your fleet breaches our sacred space, these myths demand justice." Raylick's words were layered with both reverence and scorn. They painted a vivid picture of an alien culture that had cultivated its own heroic epics, tales of cosmic battles and ancestral honor. His eyes, reflecting the light of distant galaxies, conveyed a deep-seated belief that human ambitions were reckless imitations of true valor. "We are not here to share fables," he continued, "but to preserve the legacy of our forebears. Your actions have awakened dormant truths, truths that can no longer be ignored." As his image flickered, Mara felt the weight of her own history intensify. She recalled the broken faces of her family in the aftermath of a skirmish, loved ones lost to a conflict spurred by pride and misunderstanding. That bitter pain mingled with the tales of heroic sacrifice, transforming them into a personal mantra. Every life was precious, and every myth had the power to both inspire and destroy. "Ambassador Raylick," she replied, her voice resolute yet tinged with sorrow, "I have seen what these legends can cost us, but our duty is to protect our people, to navigate the fine line between myth and reality, and to forge a future that honors the sacrifices of the past." In the dimly lit command center, the dialogue between Mara and Raylick unfolded like a delicate dance, a meeting of two worlds, each clinging to its own version of truth. As they exchanged words, the conversation revealed not only ideological divides but also the painful beauty of shared humanity. For all its differences, the collision of these ancient narratives carried a promise that understanding might still bridge the chasm between pride and despair. The voices of Mara's crew murmured in the background, a steady chorus of tension and resolve. Officers discussed strategies in hushed tones, their words interspersed with the constant beeping of instruments and the soft rustle of data streams. In that space, every conversation was a battle of wits and wills, each syllable weighed against the legacy of history. The echoes of old myths were not confined to dusty scrolls or bedtime stories. They surged through the hearts of all present, fueling both courage and caution. As the dialogue tapered off, Mara's gaze shifted back to the endless cosmos. The vastness of space held the secrets of both creation and ruin, a reminder that legends, no matter how exalted, were fragile constructs vulnerable to the harsh light of reality. In that reflective moment, she resolved that the past would not dictate the future. The myths, whether human or arcanous, were tools able to bind or to break depending on how they were wielded. And now, as warships hovered on the brink of confrontation, it was her duty to ensure that these ancient echoes would not spiral into irrevocable tragedy. In the interplay of light and shadow, myth and memory, Captain Mara Rojas understood that the coming storm was not merely a clash of forces but a collision of ideologies. Each echo from the past carried a lesson, and every whispered legend urged her forward, a testament to the enduring power of stories, and a warning that the line between myth and reality was thinner than anyone dared to believe. The void of space shimmered with cold light as warships on both sides hovered like predators waiting for the slightest misstep. In the flagship's command center, every screen, every blinking light, and every whispered order was steeped in tension. Captain Mara Rojas stood before the main tactical display, her steady gaze fixed on the slowly shifting line that separated human and arcanous forces. The digital map pulsed with alerts, red zones, moving fleets, and the ever-present threat of escalation. The standoff had transformed the border into a silent battlefield, where neither side dared to make the first move. Mara's fingers danced over the controls, orchestrating a delicate ballet of formation adjustments and defensive postures. Outside the reinforced viewports, the sleek, angular hulls of human warships reflected the distant, eerie glow of arcanous vessels, their designs elegant and alien, exuding an air of both grace and foreboding power. A hush settled over the room as the secure communication channel flickered to life. On the other side, a holographic figure materialized, a high-ranking arcanous officer, his expression inscrutable, his eyes deep with the ancient wisdom of his people. The figure's presence was both majestic and ominous, as if he embodied centuries of tradition and resolve. Captain Rojas, the arcanous officer intoned, his voice resonating with measured authority. You have entered a domain where legends are the law. Your fleet's advance is a challenge to the sanctity of our borders. Explain your intentions. Mara's jaw tightened, and the calm in her tone belied the storm raging within. We seek only safe passage and dialogue, she replied. Our presence here is not an act of aggression but of survival. We cannot retreat from the frontiers of our destiny, even if that destiny is misunderstood. Her words hung in the charged silence of the bridge. The officer's features remained unmoved, his posture rigid with discipline. Survival, you say, he mused slowly. But your survival comes at the cost of our peace. Do you not understand that crossing this threshold awakens the old grievances etched into our collective memory? Outside, the distant hum of engines and the soft beeping of instrument panels punctuated the tense exchange. Crew members exchanged nervous glances as they monitored the evolving situation. The tactical display revealed subtle maneuvers, human vessels in a semicircle formation designed to project strength without provoking immediate hostility, while the arcanous ships maintained an unyielding posture, their movements precise and deliberate, a silent warning of the power they wielded. Mara's mind raced with the weight of history and duty. The legends that had haunted her nights and fueled her determination now served as a reminder of what was at stake. We are not here to rewrite myths, she said, her voice resolute. Our journey has been long, and our losses many. But our future depends on finding common ground rather than continuing this endless cycle of fear and retribution. A long pause ensued as the arcanous officer absorbed her words. His holographic form shimmered, the ambient light playing over his chiseled features. Finally he responded, "Common ground is a fragile construct built on mutual respect and understanding. You have brought only the echo of human ambition into our sacred space. Your fleet's positioning, your formation, they speak of readiness for conflict, not reconciliation. At that moment, a junior officer on Mara's team interjected, "Captain, our sensors indicate that several enemy vessels are now aligning with the outer defense grid. They're preparing for an orbital blockade." The tension on the bridge deepened as the gravity of the situation became clear. Every calculated movement could either defuse the situation or spark a war that would engulf the frontier. Mara's eyes softened for a split second as she recalled the faces of those who had fallen in previous skirmishes, the personal sacrifices that had paved her path. "We must not allow misunderstanding to dictate our fate," she said, her voice steady and imbued with both determination and empathy. "Open a channel to our tactical liaison. I want precise positioning details and a full status report on their movements." As data streamed onto the display, revealing the intricate dance of vessels across the void, Mara's thoughts shifted to the human side of this confrontation. She could almost hear the heartbeat of every crew member, each one aware of the fragile balance between defense and diplomacy. The air was thick with the scent of heated metal and the low murmur of anxious voices, a reminder that behind every strategic move lay the lives of individuals, each with their own hopes and fears. Back on the communication channel, the Arcanus officer's voice grew more measured, laced with a subtle urgency. "Captain Rojas, our people have endured the scars of ancient conflicts. We have built our honor on the foundations of tradition and the resolve to protect what is sacred. If your fleet persists in its current formation, we may be forced to consider measures that neither side desires." The declaration was both a threat and an appeal to reason, a call for clarity amidst the murky waters of war. Mara's hands tightened on the console as she absorbed the gravity of his words. The standoff was no longer just a matter of territorial lines. It was a battle of philosophies, of pride, and of the enduring legacies that shape both civilizations. Taking a slow, deliberate breath, Mara responded, "We do not wish to violate the sanctity of your space, nor do we seek to diminish your traditions. We ask only for a dialogue, a chance to understand one another, to bridge the chasm of our differences before this deadlock becomes a tragedy written in blood." The officer's holographic visage flickered, and for a moment, a hint of something, perhaps regret, perhaps resolve, flashed in his ancient eyes. "Dialogue is the first step toward reconciliation," he conceded. "But remember, Captain, trust must be earned, not assumed. Let us begin with the exchange of our demands and our fears, and perhaps then, we can find a path that honors both our heritages." In that moment, the bridge of the flagship became a nexus of possibility and peril. Every second stretched out as a silent negotiation, a delicate dance on the edge of conflict. The interplay of light and shadow on the screens, the measured tones of both human and Arcanus voices, and the weight of centuries of myth all converged into a single defining moment. The standoff was a crucible where both sides would be tested, not just in terms of firepower, but in the strength of their convictions and the depth of their capacity for understanding. As the conversation deepened, Mara's mind wandered to the lives she had sworn to protect. Each face on her crew represented hope, resilience, and the promise of a future unburdened by the tragedies of the past. Yet, as she met the gaze of the Arcanus envoy through the holographic link, she also saw in his eyes the reflections of a people who had endured their own losses, whose legends were as much a part of their identity as her own memories. The silent, unspoken dialogue that passed between them, of duty, loss, and the quest for meaning, reminded Mara that this standoff was more than a military maneuver. It was a test of humanity itself, a moment where the ancient power of myth could either kindle a flame of reconciliation or ignite the fires of war. The fate of Nova Helix, and perhaps the future of two worlds, hung in the balance. In the dim light of the command center, as tactical data scrolled and voices exchanged measured challenges and offers, the bridge became a living testament to the precarious nature of peace. The stage was set, the players were in position, and every heartbeat resonated with the weight of destiny. And as the human and alien fleets waited with bated breath, the universe held its silence, poised on the brink of an uncertain, yet inevitable, confrontation. The silence before the storm was deafening. In the command center, every sensor beep and flickering display was a countdown to an event none wished to face. Outside, the void of space pulsed with the latent energy of colliding destinies. Human warships bristled with defensive firepower, while the Arcanis vessels, graceful yet menacing, cut through the darkness with cold precision. The tension was palpable, each heartbeat echoing like a drumroll to an inevitable clash. Captain Mara Rojas stood at the helm, her face illuminated by the ever-changing constellation of tactical readouts. Her eyes, hard and reflective as obsidian, revealed the inner turmoil of a leader burdened by loss and steeled by resolve. Memories of fallen comrades and the echo of ancient sorrowful myths surged within her, a relentless reminder that every decision now could either save countless lives or doom them to the annals of forgotten heroes. A sudden alert shattered the fragile calm. "Captain, enemy vessels are advancing into the orbital grid," reported Lieutenant Kwan, his voice strained. The data streams painted a picture of deliberate, coordinated maneuvers, each ship positioning itself like pieces on an interstellar chessboard. Mara's pulse quickened as she considered the ramifications. One miscalculated move could ignite a war that would engulf the frontier in unquenchable flames. In the midst of the rising panic, a secure channel crackled to life. The stern, resonant voice of Ambassador Zurach, transmitted from the Arcanis flagship, filled the room. "Captain Rojas, your fleet's movements speak of imminent aggression. Explain before our patience thins to nothing." His tone, though measured, bore the weight of centuries of tradition and unyielding resolve. Mara inhaled slowly, the air thick with the scent of heated metal and ionized rain drifting through the viewport. "Ambassador Zurach, we seek only to secure our passage and safeguard our people," she replied, her voice steady but edged with the strain of countless sleepless nights. "We are aware of the consequences our actions might trigger, and we wish to avoid a needless conflict. Yet, if we retreat now, the future of Nova Helix, and our very right to explore, will be forfeit." Her words hung in the charged air, mingling with the tense static of interstellar communication. On the bridge, crew members exchanged worried glances as they monitored the unfolding crisis. The tactical display showed human vessels maintaining a defensive perimeter, while Arcanis ships tightened their formation in a silent, imposing counterbalance. Every second stretched, laden with the possibility of irreversible consequence. A palpable pause ensued. In that suspended moment, Mara's thoughts raced back to her childhood, a time when myths were simple stories meant to inspire hope, not justify war. Now, those ancient narratives had morphed into a living battleground of pride and survival. The faces of her lost loved ones flared in her mind, fueling a determination that burned brighter than any star in the void. "Ambassador," Mara said, her tone resonating with both defiance and empathy, "we do not desire bloodshed. Let us find a path that honors our past without condemning our future. I am prepared to adjust our course, if it means diffusing this crisis. But know this: our drive to survive is as unyielding as the legends that shaped us." The response was measured, almost sorrowful. "Your words are heard, Captain, yet actions speak louder than intentions. We stand at a precipice, where pride and fear threaten to obliterate all that we have built." The ambassador's voice faded into a silence that was as heavy as the vacuum of space, punctuating the gravity of his warning. On the bridge, the crew worked feverishly to recalibrate positions and update defense protocols, each keystroke and whispered order underscored by the shared hope that diplomacy might still prevail. The boundary between myth and reality, once blurred by hopeful lore, now crystallized into a tangible line, a line that separated life from the specter of annihilation. In that critical juncture, the standoff transformed into a crucible for both civilizations. Every decision, every subtle shift in formation carried the weight of history and the promise of redemption or ruin. As the two fleets edged closer to the tipping point, the universe seemed to hold its breath, the impending confrontation a stark reminder that legends, however storied, could incite both wonder and devastation. The brink of war was not merely a tactical skirmish. It was the ultimate test of resolve, where the fire of human determination met the icy honor of an alien legacy. And as the stars bore silent witness, Captain Mara Rojas steeled herself for the defining moment, where every heartbeat, every whispered hope, and every cry for peace would shape the destiny of two worlds. In the soft light of dawn, Nova Helix awoke to a silence that was as heavy as it was hopeful. The storm of tension had finally subsided, leaving behind traces of scars and lessons etched into the very fabric of the frontier. Captain Mara Rojas stood on the observation deck, watching as the first rays of sunlight bathed the sprawling megacity and the vast, unyielding desert beyond. The aftermath of the brink of war standoff was palpable, a quiet resilience emerging from the debris of near catastrophe. The warships, once locked in a dance of defiance and caution, now floated in a measured stillness. Some bore the marks of minor skirmishes, their battle-worn hulls a testament to the raw power of interstellar conflict. Others, silhouetted against the warming horizon, stood as silent guardians of a peace that had been narrowly preserved. The tension that had gripped the command center had given way to a cautious optimism, a recognition that this confrontation, though intense, might be the catalyst for a new beginning. Inside the flagship, the atmosphere was one of somber reflection. Crew members moved quietly through corridors, their conversations low and thoughtful. In the main hall, a gathering of officers and diplomats convened around a large, interactive map displaying both human and Arcanist positions. The air was thick with the scent of ionized rain and the lingering metallic tang of battle, mingling with a newfound determination to forge a path forward. Captain Rojas addressed her crew in a steady, measured tone. Today we have narrowly avoided the flames of war. Let this moment remind us that our future is not written in the ink of our past conflicts, but in the choices we make now. Her voice, resonant with both authority and empathy, filled the room as she recounted the lessons learned from the standoff. Her words carried the weight of personal loss and the hope that understanding might yet mend old wounds. In a secure communication channel, a final exchange with Ambassador Zurak marked the turning point of this delicate balance. His holographic figure, now less imposing and more reflective, appeared on the central display. "Captain Rojas," he intoned, his voice carrying a subtle warmth that contrasted with the earlier severity. "Our peoples have both suffered under the burden of myths and misunderstandings. Today we stand at a crossroads. Let our dialogue be the bridge between our past and a future where honor and compassion coexist." Their exchange was not filled with grand declarations, but with the quiet assurance that both sides were ready to rebuild trust. The ambassador's words, echoed by his own advisors, underscored a mutual willingness to learn from the brink and to seek reconciliation over retribution. "Let us set aside our ancient grievances," Mara replied, her tone firm yet imbued with hope, "and work together to ensure that the legends we inherit do not condemn us to repeat history." As negotiations began in earnest, the city of Nova Helix transformed around them. The neon glow of its towers now symbolized not just human ambition, but the shared promise of a future that embraced both technology and tradition. Holographic displays lit up with projections of proposed joint ventures, defense systems built on mutual trust, cultural exchanges designed to bridge the ideological chasm, and initiatives that promised to harness the vast resources of the frontier for the common good. Later, as the day matured into a quiet afternoon, Mara found solace in a solitary walk along the deck. The rhythmic pulse of the engines, now a soft hum rather than an urgent call to arms, blended with the distant melody of wind stirring the desert sands. Her mind wandered to the faces of her crew, the steadfast officers, the hopeful diplomats, and even the once adversarial Arcanist representatives, all united by the precarious promise of peace. In the gentle sway of the ship, she felt the stirring of renewal, a chance to honor the past while forging a future unburdened by relentless conflict. In a private moment of reflection, Mara recalled the voices of those who had once doubted the power of dialogue. Now, amid the calm after chaos, every whispered memory of pain had transformed into a beacon for change. The myths that had once fueled conflict were being reimagined as narratives of unity and shared destiny. And as the horizon brightened with the promise of a new day, the captain realized that every scar on the hull of her ship, and every line etched on her heart, was a step toward a grander understanding of what it meant to be human, and indeed to be alive. The bridge became a haven for cautious celebration. In subdued gatherings, both human and Arcanist officers exchanged ideas and tentative smiles. Plans were drafted for cooperative ventures, while historians and cultural scholars began to document the events that had nearly plunged their worlds into war. The lessons learned were clear. Only by embracing the truths hidden behind ancient myths could they hope to construct a future defined by shared respect rather than division. As twilight returned, casting long shadows across the deck, Captain Mara Rojas stood once more before the panoramic viewport. The stars emerged in the velvet sky, each one a silent witness to the night's tumult and the day's fragile peace. In that moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of hope, a belief that even amidst the darkness of uncertainty, a new horizon awaited those bold enough to seek it. In the interplay of light and shadow, of past and future, the story of Nova Helix and its people found its quiet epilogue. The legacy of conflict and the promise of reconciliation merged into a single potent vision, a world where myths were no longer chains of the past, but stepping stones toward a luminous shared destiny.